Hello, welcome to part 3. These things must come to pass. And we finished reading, I think it was the 18th verse of the 21st chapter of St. Luke on the last program. I'd like you to get your scriptures out and ready. And we know we're speaking to you today on the things that must come to pass and breaking them down so that you'll have before you what Yahusha was really putting before the disciples and how things are going to play out. And so hopefully if you have missed it, go back and listen to the one prior to this one, which will start us off on the, I think it was the 6th verse. And we're going to go all the way to the 24th verse of St. Luke. And what we're doing is we're breaking down our Master's words to show you the times that kind of shift back and forth in his speaking of the end times and the signs and the things to expect and the false Christs and all this that he speaks of, the false messiahs that will come. So we, and give you false dates and what have you. So we are finished with that. I want to start now with verse number 20. Yes, 20. All right. Are you ready? Got your scriptures out there? Let's go. We're here. We're back. Remember we went to the great persecution the end of the last program. All right, which was between 33 and 320 AD. I mean, yeah, AD. And now we're going to be going to the Desparia, which happened in between 70 and 72 AD. When the Romans came and sacked the city of Jerusalem and burned it down to the ground. So we're back there in verse 20. Okay, and if you could put those notes on your scriptures, it would really help you understand what Yahusha is saying here. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. What is he talking about, the desolation here? Well, what a lot of people are waiting for the anti-Messiah to come into the temple, the remade temple, and Revelation speaks about it. I'm going to teach on that a separate teaching, but I want you to know desolation had already taken place when the Vesperian, I think it was Titus, Vesperian, his father. They put the idol there up in the city, this has happened right after, or right before actually the Desparia happened. They put this false god up in the temple of the Most High. And they offered pig's blood for sacrifice. So you can read about that, but I'm not on that right now. But I just want to give you a setting of time. All right. So that was desolation, was that sign when that pig was killed in that temple. They should have known then what that meant. That meant this place getting ready to go down. All right. Look at verse 21 then. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. Why? Now we're talking about the Romans coming to ransack and burn down the city. So he says, then let them that are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst depart out of it. And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. Now you got to remember, a lot of us had left. Remember, we were under great persecution from those that are in leadership. The Pharisees and all those who believed along with them, they were subjugated to them. They turned their back on their Messiah. They turned their back on the Messiah, and they persecuted those that were believers, and they scattered. Now, there were still people there. Peter was still there in Jerusalem. The missions were going on by Saul and Mark and different ones. But many people, because of the starvation, I remember the offering that was collected and to try to feed the hungry, it was very difficult to be believers in the way, believers in the Nazarene, Yahusha, and live in peace there, or have enough food to feed your families. So many had left. So there was a remnant still there, but many had left. And I'm sure when this happened, many are glad they had left, because this is what ensued. So and it goes on to say that they flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out of it. There's an underlying message in this, because we live in Babylon today, and we need to get Babylon out of our heads and hearts. I mean, you may not be able to pack your bags and move, but you should pack that bag of your heart and stop thinking and acting according to their ideologies and social stratas. He's called us out from them. It's something to think about, isn't it? Because this day is coming where judgment is falling, and you don't want it to fall on you because you're too close to the subject. All right. And let not them that are in the countries enter therein too. For these be the days of vengeance. You know, sometimes people think that vengeance is coming in the by and by, as if Yah can't judge whenever he wants to. Yah says, I put you up, I can take you down. You leaders, you countries, he's in ultimate control, not us, not people. They would have you think so. And I'm telling you, sometimes it's hard not to think so. But just know behind that is Satan, and above him is Yahusha. Hallelujah. All right. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written, what? May be fulfilled. May be fulfilled. They must happen. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. Because it was a hard journey for us. You used to be climbing about it. We were murdered, sacked, burned, and we were running into all parts of Africa, West Coast, Negro land, South Africa, Congo, trying to get away from the pursuit of our enemies. And it would be very difficult to make that journey with child, pregnant, giving birth on the road. Very difficult time. So he says that, for there shall be great distress in the land and wrath upon this people. In the land. That's when he allowed the Romans to ransack Jerusalem. And that happened by the hand of one Roman emperor by the name of Titus. In the 79-81, he ruled. And he was the son of Vespasian, the one I couldn't hardly say a moment ago, 69 to 79 AD. These are the destroyers. These are the leaders that, at the time in Rome, that destroyed Jerusalem. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and slaughter, slaughter, slaughter everywhere. It was a bloody, bloody, bloody time for us Yehudis. And shall be led away captives into all nations. And see, some people, they place that with Babylon, which it should be, because this same thing happened. Remember, and I have a paper here, I'm not going to read it all. There were more than one ransacking and taking captive for our people. In fact, I'm not going to name all of them because I haven't checked to make sure all of them are correct. But I do know that we were held captive for 215 years in Egypt. And we were held by, let's see, we were taken by the Assyrians. We were taken by the Babylonians. Let's see, yeah. And the Assyrians, around 700 BC. And then Babylonian captivity was for 70 years, around 600 BC to 536. And then we were captive, taken by the Persians and Medes. That was around for about 200 years. And that was in 536 and to 300 and so on BC. The Greeks came and got us. We got, I'm telling you, the Greeks are called, got us. And then Romans, of course, we know about the Roman diaspora. And we had African Arabs take us into captivity. And of course, we had America take us into captivity. And England was a little bit before that and then gave it up, but kind of give you an idea that we're the people that have been taken into captivity. And why? Because we disobeyed. Not because you were black, but because of what you lacked. Obedience to the Torah, to the covenant. But that didn't mean that they had to put spikes on their boots to put them in your neck, and that's what Yah's going to get them for. Because there's one thing for him to punish his people through you, but when you take it on yourself to do the atrocities to them that you have done, then you're going to have to pay for that, and greatly you shall. All right, let's go on now. So we've got the emperors that destroyed with the sword and fire. Now we're going to go to St. Luke 23, verse 27 to 31, where it says, a large number of people followed him, talking about Yahusha, including women who mourned and wailed for him. He's on his way to be hung on that tree, on that bloody tree. Yahusha turned and said to them, daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me. Weep for yourselves and for your children. For the time will come when you will say, blessed are the childless women. Why? They're going to be on the run if they made it. For the time will come when you will say, blessed are the childless women, the wombs that never bore, and the breasts that never nursed or gave suck. Then they shall or will say to the mountains, fall on us, and the hills, cover us, cover us. And I want you to underline this next. For if people do these things when the tree is green, what will happen when it is dry? Don't weep for me. Perilous times are about to come forth. And if they do to me what they're doing, and I am the living vine, what you think they're going to do to you, who are dried up? Well, let's go to where Apostle talks about it in Galatians 3:13. I want to get the misnomer that he was hung. I'll have to do a separate series on that. He was hung on a tree. And we'll get into that another time. But you can do your own study on it. Meantime, you'll be ready for me. All right, it says, the Apostle Paul referred to this law in relationship to Yahusha and his death on a tree. In Galatians 3:13, we read, the Messiah redeemed us from the curse, death penalty of the Torah by becoming a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is everyone who is hanged. Hanged, not nailed, hanged. I know people want to say, well, he hung by nail. No, he hung on a tree. They still hanging us. That's our MO. That's what they want to do to us all the time. They want to hang us on a tree, make a spectacle of us. That's what they did to our Messiah, our master, our king. So, he said, Yahusha was cursed for us, hanging on the tree. The Torah was obeyed. In other words, the Pharisees and the priests, the leaders of that day, if you notice, Pilate handed him over to them. Pilate handed Yahusha over to the religious sect. And according to the law, which they prided themselves so much in, a man was cursed if he hung on a tree and had to be taken down by nightfall. So, people say he was nailed to a cross. That's a misnomer. He was hung. And if you go look at the law and read Torah, you'll find that's the way the Israelites or showed that this man was a curse. And again, Pilate, after having him whipped Yahusha gave him over to them, which would have put him away as the law stipulated. Why do you think Judas went out and hung himself? Because he knew he was cursed. He was the son of perdition. It was a sign. He could have just jumped off a cliff and died, but he hung himself, and that was a message. I'm a cursed man. Yahusha would have followed to the end of the law even in his death. And he had to be hung on a tree. All right, this section goes from then and as well as now. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the, again, remember I taught you in the last one, Gentiles simply means other nations. Until the times of the Gentiles or nations be fulfilled. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars. Upon the earth, distress of nations. This is where I want to say, well, this is where we are very much today. You can put your brakes on in the car now and get out and let's take a little walk, because we need to stop for a minute, really examine what I'm about to speak and share with you right now. We are in a time Yahusha calls distress of nations. There's a plural. It's not just America. Nations. The earth's nations are in perplexity now. The sign of the virgin and the birth that you saw in the heavens right after the eclipse that came in 2017, I believe it was. You must realize that was a sign for you, Yehudi, and for you, Yasserel. You must know that he was warning his people. He said, these things shouldn't come on you with you not being aware of it. We are aware of the times in which we live in. We are not ignorant of Satan's devices, and we know what time we live in. Let me describe it to you. The distress of nations. What does distress really mean? It means extreme anxiety. You know, anxiety leads people to do some wild and crazy things. We have a drug epidemic. We have a suicide epidemic. Right now, people are going on a rampage, murdering and killing innocent people, don't even know them. Because of the fear which caused a depression and fear, which brought on extreme anxiety. It's going to get worse. There are diseases that had never been heard of that are coming upon us. There's stuff that's been measles, waking up and coming back on us as a nation. Diseases they have no name for. They get scrabbling trying to get the name for it. There are animals being discovered in the oceans and places they never saw before. And if the good fish are being washed up on the shores, what do you think might be coming up here for something to eat? Sorrow, much sorrow. Look at these camps all over the place. People can't find a place to lay their heads. But from the Middle East to Africa to South America to China. Well, China, they're trying to put them up somewhere. But I'm telling you, most of the people cannot find a place to be quiet and rest their heads. They're in some type of camp, running from war, running from famine, running from a failed economy, running. And they're going to be running from here. Do you think that we're just going to have it, the bed of ease while everybody else is crashing? Eventually, you crash. The head crashes. If my feet crash and my legs go and my arms go, pretty soon my head is going. And it's methodically happening. Because y'all's not going to let it all crush at one time because we're still here. Let me go on. It goes on to say, sorrow, pain, anguish, suffering, pain, agony, ache, affliction, torment, sorrow, grief, woe, sadness, unhappiness, desolation, despair, trouble, worry, anxiety, perturbation, uneasiness, disquiet, and angst. And all of that with perplexity. Now that sounds like what's coming on us now. Now, what is perplexity? It's an ability, it's an inability, I should say, an inability to deal with or understand the things that are coming upon the earth are out of our control and not understood by the masses. So there, all of this suffering, all this pain, all this anxiety, all these things are going on with perplexity. It's dire, is what it is. It's so dire. If y'all did not shorten the days, none of us would last. I don't know about you, but those are sobering thoughts to me. Because he said, only with my eyes, your eyes, would you see the reward of the wicked. Why would you want to stay on their side of the fence? Come on over. Come out of Babylon. Come out of her, my people. Come out of her, all those nations who don't want any more part of her. Come out of her. You can come. Ruth came. Rahab came. Moses' wife came. You can come too. Y'all made a way for the nations to come. He said, go into the highways and byways and compel. Tell them to come. They can come. But they're going to have to admit who he is. And then they need to come and be a part of who Israel is. All right. So, with perplexity, that really stunned me when I read that. All of that, and that's mingled with perplexity, not understanding it. In other words, the people will be confused. Confusion sets in when all kind of calamities happen all around you. You don't know where it's coming from and how to stop it. And it just keeps coming and coming and coming. It gets, Yahusha says it's going to be like a woman in labor. The things coming to earth are going to become harder and stronger and closer together as a woman in labor, with no way out. People are digging fortresses down in the ground. The rocks are going to cry out. You can't hide here. When that earth starts cracking, you're going to be right there. There's no place for you to go. Your money cannot buy you out of this one, dear heart. It won't be. You might as well stay up here with the rest of us, because it's not going. In fact, you're going to go first, because there are volcanoes in places you don't even know where they are, and you all are building things down in the ground. Don't even know what you're building on top of. Let me go on. Then I'll end it here. So it says, in this perplexity, inability, or wonderment, or puzzlement, the sea and the waves roaring And that's your hurricanes, your tsunamis, your weather patterns that are violent. These are causing men's heart. All of these things they see coming upon the earth are causing heart attacks. And heart diseases are coming because of eating, but heart attacks are coming from fear. Fear, failing them. Afraid. I've heard people say, I'm afraid. I'm fearful of what I see coming on this earth. And they're going, you haven't seen half of what. I remember the last program. And I said, there's going to be things that are coming on here that you never heard of. That Hurricane Dorian hovered over the island of Bahamas for 2 days. For 5 megaton bomb almost. That's how much damage it did. It tore them up. Not that I gloat in any of that destruction, no. But these are the things that we must see. We're going to see them. Now, my heart goes out to anyone that's suffering. But I'm telling you, that has nothing to do with Yah. This is Yah's judgment. Yah saying, come out of her, my people, or be judged along with her. Trying to keep you alive. Trying to keep you well. Trying to keep you from peril, from perishing. So, I'm going to stop right here and say tune in to the next part, because I'm going to continue, and then we're going to see the way clear, see our way out. Will that be all right with you? You pray about these things and take them very seriously, because what's coming is even greater than what you've seen. And that's a promise from Most High Himself. Until next time, you take care in His name. Shalom.